Warzone Mobile has just announced huge news regarding the release date of the game, what regions will be getting the game next, and other future plans regarding the game. They announced all of this in a Call of Duty Mobile Warzone limited release deep dive with the studio co-head Chris Plummer. It's an 8-minute long video, and I'm gonna go ahead and just basically react to it, give my thoughts, and also explain some of the reasonings, because believe it or not, I've actually met Chris Plummer when I was in London playing Warzone Mobile early. But let's hop into it.
Hello, thanks for joining us for this update on Warzone Mobile limited release.
No problem, Chris.
So first, on behalf of the whole Warzone Mobile team, just want to express our deepest thanks to the whole community for your support, for being there with us from the beginning of development all the way through our private alpha.
I do what I can.
And now to our limited release. Now, the reason we want to give this update today is to just talk a little bit about why we do the limited release the way we do it. Let me explain. I think the easiest way to think about it is it's all about agility. So when we're in development,
Makes sense.
before we release, we are just jamming stuff in the game super fast. Like, it's high speed, fine tuning things, just doing a lot really fast. And so we want to try and find the right balance between that high speed development and a much slower, more methodical paced live service. So limited release is really the answer to that.
Now, if you've been confused by what limited release he's talking about, basically, Warzone Mobile, right as of this date of releasing this video, is only available to be played in Australia. You can play Warzone Mobile in other regions, but you do have to VPN to Australia to kind of trick the game into thinking you are in the Australia region. So limited release just means the game is out and you can play it, but only certain countries have native access to it by just going to the App Store and downloading the game.
And our approach to it is to gradually scale up the size of our audience.
And it's been gradual. It's been slow.
Better at taking the feedback that's coming in live, balancing that with bug fixes and
they've been doing a lot of those too.
All these other things are happening at the same time. And then our roadmap of future features that we're also working on, we're trying to find a balance of all those things together so that the game is still moving forward and it's also getting more ready for that global release.
I would say it's making a ton of progress.
Once we're at the global release, we need to be
global release date
at that pace, at that process of running the live game, balancing all those things the right way. And we get there by gradually building up our size of audience.
And I will make one more note before we get to the global release date point, that they've been doing a phenomenal job of this. Mobile games, I think a lot recently have just been quicker to the punch. They have been kind of throwing away a lot of the key foundations of making a good game, which is what Chris just said, have a solid foundation and then built from it from there. So you want to have all the systems in place for reporting bugs, for adding new features, for fixing bugs, for all these base things in a video game that a lot of mobile games kind of don't have when they first launch. So they're doing everything right when it comes to starting and launching a brand new mobile game.
Starting in Australia, it's been amazing. We've gotten incredible feedback. It's been able to make the game better. The next couple of countries that we're going to roll into are likely going to be in Europe and in South America.
So that's pretty big. So the next few countries that will be getting the game in the limited release phase of the game will most likely be in South America and Europe. Now, I believe the game has already kind of been put on the App Store in Brazil. So Brazil might be the country in South America that is getting Warzone Mobile next. That could just be a wild guess. As far as Europe, we have no clue what European country is slated to get the game at the moment.
And what that will do is allow us to significantly increase the size of our audience, but still remain relatively manageable because we're not going to go into the biggest countries. We're going to try and manage that size.
Small countries.
See how we respond now. There's new tastes, new preferences,
and I don't think Brazil is a small country.
And then when we roll beyond that,
we'll see.
Our next set of countries, we're going to be looking for places in other parts of the world probably, but they will never be the biggest countries because we want to save that scale until we feel like everything is working and validated
the
way
makes
we
sense.
want to be live, and we're ready to hit that go button globally. And when we're ready for that, you'll hear from us. So we've not announced a global release date yet. So if you've heard any rumors online, and there are some, don't believe anything you hear on the internet unless it comes from us.
Okay, that's a little conflicting. Now, Chris isn't wrong when he said there's no global release date that they've posted. Warzone Mobile have not publicly stated themselves when the game is launching globally, but everyone has known for the last few, as long as the game has been able to be pre-registered on the app stores, iOS has just said that it's expected to come May 15th. I thought it was coming May 15th. A lot of you probably thought the game was coming May 15th because it says it's coming May, or it says it's expected May 15th. Sorry. But I think what Chris is alluding here is that might not be accurate. And we might have to wait much longer than anticipated to actually get Warzone Mobile. Once again, that's just kind of speculation on my behalf. We could still get the game on May 15th. We could wait months. We could probably get a summer release. But it seems like until Warzone Mobile themselves announce a release date, everything else doesn't matter.
So stay tuned for that. More likely what we'll be talking about soon is rolling into some new countries. Hopefully announcing that 35 million pre-registration milestone. But we're not there yet. We haven't announced anything there. We're still, charging forward and continuing to improve the game, stabilize the game, make it everything that you deserve and that all of our players around the world deserve so we can get to global release. So it's a little bit about sort of the why we do our limited release the way we do it. I think we will also not always roll out to other countries, let's say, on both platforms at the same time.
That's
you may
interesting.
stagger that work. So iOS and Android might enter a country at a different time. And that's because the volume of work to do on the different platforms isn't the same. On Android,
for the hold on, I'll let them talk. Sorry, Chris.
you just have a lot more devices to support, so much more like a PC ecosystem. That may mean that we roll out in some regions at a different time than others.
Basically, Android sucks to make games for. It doesn't suck, but it's really difficult to optimize. I mean, you guys know there's so many Android devices nowadays that are capable of running games like Warzone Mobile compared to iOS and iPhones, where there's maybe only 15 total iOS devices in the world that can play this game. There are probably hundreds of Android devices, so it makes a lot of sense. If you guys ever see iOS get a beta first and then Android get to later, it's probably because Android is just a pain at optimizing games and probably developing games for.
But once we go to our global release, everything will be at parity. We'll be supporting our min spec. We'll be supporting all of our devices at the performance we expect.
There you go. That's also another huge thing. A lot of people have been complaining about the current minimum device requirements and minimum specs, like Chris just said. But he said when the game is finally launched, then all of those min specs will be respected. So if a device that you have that currently meets the requirement can't play the game, just wait until it launches globally and you can play with it.
And there will be a level playing field across all the devices. Speaking of
iPad on
level
top,
playing
maybe.
field, it's also worth pointing out that there's no major advantage to players who are in the limited release versus players that aren't. As far as like the fairness and balance of the game, there's no systems or tuning or anything in the game that will carry forward that would imbalance the player base.
That's good to know. It would suck if there was.
Now, what have we been doing during this time? What's the limited release bought us?
People want to know.
For one thing, we've been improving stability a lot. There's still work to do there, for sure. We've been able to put a lot of effort into gameplay improvements, and a lot of that's based on your feedback and the folks who've been playing. And we've heard things like, we've been tuning even the animation system, which is shared from Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2.0. I mean, that's a pretty sophisticated system that's working on mobile, and we need to make sure that feels as good on mobile as it does on other platforms. We feel really good about that now. The players have told us about the enemy detection need improvement, and that's an area we put a lot of focus to. So
not UAVs.
Just as examples of tons
of
gameplay improvements throughout the limited release.
As long as they know what to talk about.
Polish is another big part of it. So, improved textures throughout Verdansk.
Oh, that's
better
huge.
Lighting throughout Verdansk.
That's massive.
Just lots of polish all over the place. You see the UI continue to get polished. Adding Gunsmith was massive. So we
finally just got it.
Ability to customize your weapons, change the attachments, all that stuff, save those weapons off. So that's a big part of the Call of Duty Warzone experience, and is something we're continuing to refine now based on your feedback. There's a couple areas that are kind of tried and true improvement areas for limited releases on any game. So like load times being one of them, the tutorials and onboarding. So we want to make it really easy for you to invite your friends, whoever they are, wherever their background in this genre, and get up to speed quickly and just be able to play with you and have a good time together.
That is also a massive thing. Mobile gaming has such typically a very big barrier to entry skill wise. Like if you're traditionally a PC player and you don't have a controller, you're not comfortable on a controller, then you have to use the mobile controls, and that can just be super frustrating. Like let's say there's a huge Verdansk fan and they want to play and they want to grind the new Warzone mobile, but they're just not super comfortable with the controls. A lot of these UI improvements, the gameplay improvements, these are going to be things that help new players experience mobile for the first time, which is what it's all about. Mobile is all about growing and letting anyone play any game anywhere. That's what I think mobile is about. And so Warzone mobile, everything that I'm hearing is good news. It might take longer for the game to come out globally. That's fine. I would much rather the game come out 1, 2, 3, 4 months later than originally anticipated, but it'd be 5, 10 times better than if it would have released on May 15th.
Now, as we look ahead, and we don't often talk about what's coming ahead, right? Because frankly, we change our minds. We have plans, and sometimes we get feedback from you, or sometimes we learn something by watching the data, or we learn something
watching
about
my videos.
How much easier or harder it was to get something to work the way we wanted to, and we change the order of which we do things. And so that means we might tell you about something, and then it actually doesn't come out till way later, and something else comes out beforehand. This is all for what we believe are good reasons, but it complicates.
I trust you, Chris.
Announcing things.
Don't worry, I trust you.
But we are planning on doing obviously more devices, supporting more devices, supporting our min spec, improving thermals, improving stability.
Thermals is huge. That is huge. Sorry. Anyways, back to it.
Performance in general. There's a lot of things we're doing to improve gameplay as well, adding new modes.
Chris, I love you, man.
Challenges.
Better performance.
Continue to improve load times, of course. And continue to improve the flow and the UX of the game so that things just kind of flow together nicely. We have a roadmap.
Can't complain.
Of exciting new features to come that
Leak it?
We're not going to talk about quite yet.
No!
But we have the things that we plan to do, the things that you're telling us about, and the things we're learning through other means, and we're always kind of like trying to balance those things, and that work continues. We're going to continue to give you updates on how things are going.
Let's go.
Look forward to hopefully announcing some more countries rolling out soon.
I was going to say release date.
And yeah, just from everyone on the team, we're just really appreciative of your support along the way. Hope this was useful and just understand how we're thinking about limited release. And we look forward to talking to you again in the future, and more importantly, playing with you when the global release.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Thanks again. And we'll see
I love you on you,
Warzone
Chris. Don't worry. Well, folks, there you have it. That is the latest dev diary from Warzone Mobile. Some key takeaways is, at the moment, we don't have a release date. The May 15th release date on iOS is looking a bit shaky. I'm going to be honest. For the next regions, it looks like Brazil is kind of up in the air as one of the potential regions. As long as we get a South American region, most people in the North America, myself included, should be able to VPN and then connect to Warzone Mobile. I know a lot of people have been complaining like, oh, the graphics look like they suck. Oh my God, this and that. Guys, the game is still obviously months away from coming out. I personally don't think we're going to see it on May 15th. I definitely think that was Chris alluding to it's not going to come out May 15th, but they don't want to say it. Like they said, things are fluid, things change all the time, and they don't want to say a release date, and then they fall short of that expectation and then make people mad. So it might not be fantastic news, but trust me, having this level of communication is pretty unprecedented this early in the development of a game. And so I'm just incredibly thankful that Warzone Mobile have decided to make this video and inform the community of everything that's been going on so that I can tell you guys what it means for the players. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Deuces.